Let me ask you something that might sound a bit uncomfortable. How is it possible that a child can spend 5 years learning Spanish at school and still feel completely unable to speak it? Not shy, not just unsure, but absolutely silent. And before we go even any further, this isn't about ability, it's not about intelligence, and it's definitely not about languages and not being their thing. It's about something much simpler. It's the way that Spanish is taught. Let's get into it. Okay, in most schools, Spanish is taught as a subject to study, not a language to use. And students learn tables, they fill in worksheets, they memorize vocab lists, they practice reading and writing exercises, and to be fair, they often become quite good at it. But here's the problem. None of that automatically translates into speaking. Because speaking a language is not a knowledge task, it's a real-time communication skill. So what happens? Well, students might know Spanish on paper, but when you ask them a simple question like, ¿Qué hiciste el fin de semana?, they freeze. And it's not because they don't know any Spanish, but because they've never practiced using it in real time. And that gap between knowing and using is where silence lives. Now let's talk about something very different, immersion. And immersive learning changes the relationship children have with language completely. So instead of starting with grammar rules, we start with communication. Instead of perfect answers, we focus on being understood. And instead of avoiding mistakes, we celebrate them. Because mistakes are not failure in immersion, they're evidence that learning is happening. And when children are immersed in Spanish, something quite remarkable happens. They stop translating things in their head and they start responding naturally. And slowly, they begin to trust themselves. It's not instant fluency. I mean, that's not realistic, is it? But it is the beginning of confidence. And confidence is what schools often struggle to build. And the distinction here is really important. We've got traditional learning that builds knowledge about the Spanish, and we've got the immersion that builds the ability in Spanish. And GCSE exams, especially the speaking exams, don't reward how many verb tables you can recall. They reward communication. They reward fluency. They reward confidence and spontaneity. So a child who has done 5 years of school Spanish but never really spoken it, well, is often at a disadvantage compared to someone who has used Spanish regularly in real contexts, even if their grammar isn't perfect. And if your child is struggling with Spanish, the answer is very rarely do more worksheets. It's not more vocab lists, and it's definitely not more written exercises. What they need is more exposure. They need repetition in context. And above all, they need opportunities to use the language without fear, because language isn't built through perfection. It's built through participation. And this is exactly why I created my Spanish immersion trips and experiences, to give children the chance to step outside of the classroom model and actually live the language through real conversations, real situations, and real connection. And what I've seen over and over again is this, that something clicks, and not because they suddenly know more Spanish, but because they realise that they can actually use it. If you'd like to explore that further, I'll leave details in the description below. And if this video resonated with you, I'd love to know, does this match what you've seen with Spanish learning? Thanks for watching and hasta la próxima. Adios.